It is. All right. So good morning, everyone, and thanks for joining me in this session. And I really glad to hear that it's really demanding because, in fact, we don't really have a future without international trade. Well, basically, Alex already made the presentation, so there's just one slide about what we do in your handout.
Little louder, please. Little louder.
Louder.
Oh,
Speaker.
hey, sure, okay. So, a piece of positive news. Yesterday I passed my citizenship test, and this was one of the questions that was in the preparation kit, and it really made me think. So the question that was in that exam, one of the questions was how can Canadians maintain one of the world's highest standards of living? And the right answer, of course, is answer B, by working hard and by trading with other nations. And there's a lot of sense in it. And in reality, both exporting and importing are beneficial. So no matter which side of the border you are playing in, there will be benefit for you and for your customers.
So the answer you are correct is B.
Is B correct? Correct. Although other answers are fine too, but the right answer is B. Quickly about the content of the presentation. So we'll talk about the developing division and your differentiation, and it will be, of course, related to your either exporting or importing activity. We'll talk about pricing, how to price the products for export and import. We'll talk about developing your sales and marketing plan, again focused on export business development and importing. We'll speak about legal and technical details of doing business internationally from Canadian perspective. We'll talk about logistics, how it works, what are the third parties that can help you, and finally we'll talk about sales and how to find clients, how to close the deals in the international trade deals. Maybe before we start, can I ask anybody to just give me some introduction of what kind of idea on exporting import you have, or what kind of products you are dealing with?
Okay,
Go ahead.
Yeah, for me, I'm planning to import organic dog chew.
Organic?
Dog chew.
Dog chew, okay. Interesting. For the... Yeah. Anyone else? Any other ideas?
I'm importing granites and marble from India and Malaysia. And India, and like there is a good scope there. Lots of modernization, and people are using the export exteriors too.
Okay. You do it now, or you have?
I have started.
I just started.
I can say that I want to recruit the students from India to the colleges here. I can say it's a import of human resources. What can
Interesting. Interesting.
I'm planning to import herbal products from India.
Okay.
Herbal products.
Herbal products. All right. Okay. Thanks. The reason I was asking is because during the presentation, I tried to give examples that are close to your export-import ideas, so that this will have a more practical. Yeah.
Just for your information, or maybe some subjects for me,
Right.
I'm going to do some imports, but not big value, case by case, some electrical equipment and instruments from Germany, mostly from Germany to Canada,
Right.
or from Canada to the other countries.
That's actually a good approach to start with on a case-by-case basis. Start with smaller amounts. So keep that in mind. Don't start with several containers worth of shipment. Okay. All right. So let's start with that. First of all, regarding your export and import business, think of an ideal picture of that business in 2, 3, 5, 6 years, and strive to make that picture a reality. does anyone have that vision, have the specific ideas on where you are going to be in 5 to 8 years or maybe longer? Think about it. I'm not asking to answer right now, but think about it. And why is it important? Because it keeps you motivated. Well, it keeps you motivated. Now, think about the direction of the trade. There's obviously export, that is bringing Canadian goods outside the country, and there's import, which is bringing products or services manufactured or provided elsewhere to Canada. So, for example, bringing students, that would be a service, but it's going to be import of the, as we said, import of students to Canada. Yes, yes, very interesting example. Start with 1 or 2 products. Don't start with a variety. In some cases, for example, when we talk about furniture, we talk about gifts or crafts, there's a great variety of different products. So stick to 1 or 2 and think for yourself what are your advantages. And this is a couple of questions that I recommend to ask yourself. First of all, do you have connections? You should have connection either on one side or on another. Or if you don't have connections on any sides, you don't know any buyers and you don't know any sellers, I suggest to choose the other product. Because this will certainly make your life easier, at least at least on one side. Think about what you know. What kind of product you know the most? Maybe you worked in some environment where that gave you some knowledge. Maybe you studied something in your university or the other educational institution. Maybe your family was involved in some product trade or manufacturing, and you know something from your childhood, but you didn't have a chance to actually trade. Think about that too. And going back to childhood, ask yourself, what is it that you wanted to do when you were a child? For example, if you wanted to be an astronaut, why not? Then probably you would be interested to trade something related to aerospace. Why not? So think about that, answer this question, and answer these 3 questions for yourself, and pick the product. I know some of you already defined. So I guess, for example, in your case, you're friendly with pets, right? Since you chose this. You're friendly with pets, with dogs. Yeah. You know how to take care of them. So that's a perfect example how your hobby, how something that you like, turns to important business. So that's, and I'm sure everybody has something that you like, and I'm pretty sure that in every case you can find the product to trade. A couple of words about profiling ideal buyers. You probably have similar exercise in marketing in your marketing course, but in case you don't, 2 types of buyers that you can sell to: business-to-business buyers and business-to-consumer buyers. To define their ideal profile, here are some recommendations how to identify who are your ideal clients. Think about the size, think about production and industry. It's regarding your business client. Or think about geography, demography, and income status for the consumers. And the other important is pain points. Will this product actually address any pain or any concern that your potential client have? And later we will also talk about whether this product has any advantages of domestic products or any other potential products that can replace it.
I didn't understand what pain points is. Pain points basically is the problem that your client has, your potential client has, that this product will satisfy. Yeah, it's like, yeah.
For example, granites, like I personally like granite, long granites, and my pain is that I don't have a great variety of them. I only have something that grown in Florida, but that's not always good quality. Okay, any other questions on this? Okay, all right. Now, since you identified your buyer, the other question is what is the ideal market that you either source from or the ideal market you export to? And again, a couple of questions to help you to identify the market. Answer the question, in which country have the most of your ideal buyers? Let's say if we're talking about pet products, in which countries are the most, in which country you have the most of the dog owners, for example?
England.
Yes, pretty much. Either England or England or the cat owners. England, could be. So in each product has something like that. Has the country where the most of the buyers live. Okay.
What's the opposite? Find a country where there's nothing there. There's nothing and you are the first.
Yeah, you can be.
Good question. I don't suggest it to be the first. Then the reason is because opening a completely new market is a completely different cost of this.
Yeah?
Yes. It's just going to cost you.
Okay.
You have to clean up for the research work.
Research work, yes, it also gets down to visiting country and
Establishing the concept is also difficult.
Exactly. So next question that I would recommend you to ask would be, where do you have connections? Or where can you quickly get the connections? And that's also important. The third question I would recommend you to ask would be, in which country you are most familiar with the business culture? Or you can quickly adapt to the business culture. Well, we know that North America is different from Europe, and different from Middle East, different from East Asia, and so on. So maybe you worked with somebody and you know how to negotiate with the Chinese, or maybe you had that experience before. Or maybe you, if you're from the other country, think about your connections back home and your culture back home. Can you negotiate with them easily? Can you reach the agreement? Think about it. And the final question, where is your product competitive? So it's not only important that you have the majority of customers in that specific market, it's also important what else is there. What else is there, and how is it different from what you do, and whether it has any advantages against your product. Okay. Two models of participating in international trade. There are more, but these are two basic concepts. You can become either agent or distributor. The key difference between agent and distributor is that a distributor not only takes care of sales, but also for after-sales support. And the other key difference is that agent has no obligation to buy, whereas a distributor has the obligation to buy a specific amount of product every month from the supplier. So these are two key differences. A couple of words about skills and capabilities that you should have. Yeah, go ahead.
One slide back, please. You mean that the difference between agent and distributor defined by that the agent just take commission, yeah?
Exactly.
And but it may be possible sometimes the agent buy.
No, agents do buy. They get title of the product, and they immediately sell it to somebody else.
Okay. But you mean that agent will not have any stock?
That's right. That's right.
But if have, it's not problem. There is no problem.
Oh no, there's no problem.
Okay.
Yeah, this is not something that is like a rule and
Okay.
laws.
And is it these terms are defined in the business, or is exactly terms, clear terms in business is defined, agent and distributor differentiation is defined in the rules and law or not?
It's general business practice, yes, it's defined. But there are also several types of agents, there are several types of
You
distributors.
mean to say like it has to be legally, you have to be an agent or it has to be a distributor? It doesn't mean like we are mixing, it is our like convenience that we can be agent and distributor both. They are saying that legally we can be an agent or we can be a distributor as per the Canadian rules.
That's it.
You don't find any rule where this will be as a rule. You can be either self-proprietor, or it can be a company, and it can be a limited company, or it can be a partnership. So this is not defined in any codes or any rules. This is self-determination.
Okay.
Self-determination.
Okay.
Agent, do the lawyer directly pays the seller, or do you pay
Agent works for the only for the marketing purpose. He will take the commission on the behalf of the two companies.
so you don't pay and buy the product, but only commission based?
Mostly yes. Mostly yes. Distributor is more of a paying for products
And
in advance and then selling later. Any other questions? Now, in terms of your skills and capabilities that are important in international trade, those they are language skills, your sales, presentation, and marketing skills, your sensitivity to cultures and being able to negotiate with different cultures, and the financing. So whether you do exporting or importing, you should have some starting capital for that. At least for purchase of some product or for marketing if you're doing exporting. You notice that I didn't really put the knowledge of international trade, the knowledge of logistics, the knowledge of all this technical background of how international trade works. And the reason why I didn't do that is because there are many third parties that can help in those matters. So you don't really need to learn how, let's say, how to put together a letter of credit, because there are bankers that do that for you. Okay, and similarly, you don't need to bother with a lot of paperwork, because there are freight forwarders that do all this bills of lading, airway bills, and stuff like that. And in Canada, the charges are like very minimal for that. They are in a great competition. So you can always get a good quote, and later we'll talk about how to get that good quote and how to actually get in touch with those third parties and who can help in that. So, you go ahead.
Sorry, I have a question. So for example, if someone is going to import something, so you're going to be a distributor, they would have to import containers to have a warehouse and sell. But if they work as an agent, they're just going to contact the person in other countries here, try to sell, and then the company in the other country is going to ship directly? Or
Exactly.
And then,
At the agent condition, agent situation, while I think we do not need to involve in export and import procedures, yeah? Because the consumer and the industry or the customer imports himself.
so the freight, the paperwork, the company who is exporting is going to do that, and then the company who is importing, they are going to be the ones who go to the customers, or the agent has to?
Still the agent's title will be for the goods, so they will participate in this paperwork. But and also, the question is who is doing the paperwork is really negotiable. There's no rule for that. It can be exporter, can be importer, or can be an agent. For example, the frequent case in Canada is that many Canadian businesses they did not export anywhere outside the United States, so they just don't know and don't want to bother with this. And they ask agents, okay, can you please do this, arrange this shipping from Canada to let's say Germany? Yeah. So they just don't bother. and for this reason, agent will will play this role and will actually arrange the shipment. His name will be in the paperwork. But it doesn't change the fact that.
I didn't get actually. I mean, the agents that we are talking about is custom clearing agents or product, product agents?
Product agents, yes. We'll talk about customs later.
So it can be both. The goods can come to the name of the importer,
Right.
or to the name of agent.
Or to the name
Can
of the.
be both.
And yes, can be both.
And the transfer of money can be done directly from importer.
Yes. But it can also be done through an agent, which is perfectly fine.
Can be both done
Yes.
according to the agreement.
Yes. Any other questions for?
Actually, it is more complicated. Like it's not only the shipment which is done by the consignor, like from the port. If the material comes here, and probably it will be based on the order-to-order basis, but there are rules like in Canada, you don't like, you can replace after 1 month, within 1 month time. And again, it is shipping going back to the same country is very difficult. Sometimes agent has to be taken care of all to taking like direct billing and something like that, so that he can handle the business. Because if there are the two parties, one in sitting other side of the country and other is there, then how can the agent or the material can be lifted again? You understood my point? Like sometimes there is a complaint material or something. What will happen to that party?
Maybe we can get to that later because I just keep this question, okay? We'll get to that later just because like in particular situation we can talk about, just don't make anything important information from the presentation. Now, in importing and exporting a business, just in any other case, in any other business, the differentiation is important. How your products are different, how they are better than the competitors. What are the advantages, what is the uniqueness, and what kind of guarantee you can provide. Did you have a marketing course? Because I'm pretty sure that covered. That was covered or not. Okay, then we can probably just quickly skip through the second part. Build a story related to your product. I have a client who imported the crafts from India, and his story and his name of his company actually referred to some ancient Indian story from the mythology. So think about something like that, because customers, they remember stories better than names. Researching competition is in international markets is no way different than researching the competition domestically. If you have a chance to collect the primary data by, say, going to the facilities, that's better. If you don't, then you can rely on the secondary data in the industry reports or business directories. And similarly with researching target markets, pretty much use the same data. You can also use government data, and each country has the government department that produces the data for both businesses and for the general population. You can find demography, you can find pretty much anything. I see more and more that foreign countries, they translate key reports to English. So at least we don't have a language barrier here. Now, let's talk about actually the way responsibility is divided, and the responsibility and costs are divided between buyers and sellers. And the key international rule that differentiates, it's called Incoterms. So this is the set of rules that is accepted by the most of the countries. And the International Chapter of Commerce, they get together every 10 years to revise these rules. And right now we have a handout of Incoterms chart, this colored one, that looks exactly like this. So what we have here, we have the seller and the buyer. Here are the, well, obviously play either of these parts. We have two sets of rules. One rule for only sea and inland waterway. Only, yes, yes. So FAS, FOB, CFR, and CIF, and there's a translation of these rules. And other rules can be applicable to pretty much any mode of transport, whether it's air, whether it's rail, land, and also those rules for any mode of transport, they apply to the shipment where you have multiple modes of transport, including marine. For example, if you ship by truck to the port, then by the ocean, then from the port to the buyer, then it will qualify to the any mode of transport as opposed to just marine transport, because the trucks are involved here. Yep.
This is for products.
Right.
What about the case of service? Like, I want to start an HR consulting firm, and I'm not limiting it to Canada. So if I want to take some expertise from Canada to Nigeria, for instance, does it apply, or it's just the regular legal contract between my company and the recipient's company?
Yes, this will be just a legal contract. So this only applies for physical goods that can be physically transported. Okay. So the top line is how costs are differentiated between buyers and sellers, and the bottom line is how risks are differentiated. And it's a matter of negotiation, and depending on the result of negotiation, as let's say as a buyer, you are responsible for certain things, and you're responsible for the shipment. Let's say it's X works. What does it mean is that
we get a quotation of X works.
X works, yes, meaning that the seller will only give a quote for the products that are in his production facility. Doesn't include any inspecting, doesn't include loading, doesn't include the shipment. It only will include.
Everyone stop. It's
Oh,
all right.
okay.
It's a total of please call like in 5 minutes.
Oh, okay.
It's not that hard. It was cold in there? No, not really.
No.
Try the rule number 4.
Okay. So first of all, I need to understand what is the differentiation of risk and cost. Now, for better pricing for good pricing of the product, you need to understand first what is the harmonized code. So harmonized codes are the standard codes that are in pretty much all that are in custom codes of all the countries, pretty much all the countries. And, first 6 digits are the same everywhere. So they use it to differentiate what is the product and what is the rate, what is the customs duty on it. So this is important for the calculation. And this is just an example for frozen veal. Frozen veal has this 0202101010. And here's a link where you can get this. So next time you need it, there's a good interface. So you pretty much type in the name of the product, and it will give you the options.
In that webpage?
Yes, that one, foreign-trade.com.
Can you say more about this MRI system? Why you need to go there?
So that's actually the next step. So maybe what we can do. Quickly about it. So if you import to Canada, your import duty will be in the Canadian Customs Code that can be found on the website of Canadian Border Services Agency, and you pay 5% GST. So you don't pay HST, you pay GST. And if you are in the other countries, look at the customs codes of those countries. If you're exporting from Canada to elsewhere,
Where is from that 5% GST? It is from America, Mexico?
no, every
From everywhere, 5%? Every product?
yes.
To that similar product?
See again?
To every product it is 5% GST?
5%, yes.
It's a standard.
It's a standard.
Tax.
It's tax. It's a tax. There's a duty and there's sales tax.
Okay, that means custom tax is different. In addition to that, 5% to that, or as a whole, it's 5%.
No, it's the 5% of the cost of goods, and the duty is also X% of the cost of goods. So they don't add one on top of each other.
And that's for imports into Canada.
Right, right. So if you then next item that if you are exporting from Canada, actually this is your buyer's problem, honestly. How much duties and taxes your buyer will pay, but you may need to know this information to determine whether you are competitive in that market. So you do pretty much the same. You first of all look at the customs code of your target export market, and you look at the local sales taxes. And I put an example of Brazil because on top of obvious sales taxes, there may be some hidden taxes. And for example, Brazil adds 25%, has 25% tax on everything that comes by ocean, which is a lot. So they are very.
Did you guys Canada, or if you want to get something there?
You send something there.
There.
So if it's for Brazil, just to get into the country, like 25%.
That's right. On top of what the rest. Together with tax, together with custom duty. They are protection.
Just for ocean.
Yeah,
By
just
air
for
might be different.
yes. But the cost of air is much more.
It's much more.
Is Incoterms over FOB value? I guess.
Actually, that's a good question because
If it is CIF, will it be also from the FOB value?
no, that's a good question because every country has different approaches. Canada usually determines cost as the cost of goods, which is either exports or FOB. So it doesn't when you pay duty in Canada, you disregard the cost of shipment. But other countries are different, and in some cases you also have to pay the tax and duty together with the cost of shipment.
So while paying tax, that duty, they don't regard ocean freight or whatever freight where I pay.
Canada doesn't. Other countries do. There's no.
Yeah, they don't.
Canada doesn't.
Oh, that's good.
This is, if I import, for example, textile, not shipping, air cargo,
Right.
how much should I pay tax?
FOB cost.
Is this different shipping and air cargo?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
It's same, maximum 5%.
5% plus the duty that is on the textile.
And then for your products, it will be extra.
Right. Well, we'll have that actually the next slide will probably answer most
Okay.
of those. Any other questions?
And here, I think they use FOB shipment and FOB destination for CIF. I saw in accounting books like that.
Which country?
In Canada.
In Canada?
Yes. They are using also FOB shipment for CIF. They are using also that. Instead of CIF, they are using FOB destination.
then balance all the payment, the charges are paid by the distributor. So he books in his book.
So is there a difference?
Yeah, both are different.
About accounting or
Depend. See, the first answer has happened in the previous presentation. It's the rules which we can decide. The FOB is the price placed on board. The price is added on the port of boarding. Boarding.
yes. Yes.
Just in case of import or export into the United States, I think there is some confusing for me information in NAFTA. That's what's the rules? Is it affect this condition?
It only affects this condition, first of all, if you're importing from States to Canada, GST doesn't disappear. No, it does apply.
Does that apply?
Sales taxes always apply. What NAFTA eliminates is the customs duty between Canada and the United States.
There is no custom.
There's no customs.
For none of products.
None of the products manufactured in the States or manufactured in Canada or manufactured in Mexico.
In manufacturing?
It's manufactured in Mexico, Canada, or
You mean that any product, it's very important for me to have that. Any product produced in United States
yes,
will not apply by custom duty when imported to Canada.
that's right.
But if the same product produced in Germany, it will have custom.
Exactly.
That's
That is NAFTA. That is
For Mexico, the same thing?
Same thing.
NAFTA is a trade agreement between Canada
I mean,
and
I wouldn't say that everything because
That's the reason.
Where can I find more information about
Canadian customs tariff.
that?
Yeah.
That's the reason some German companies, I think, have the settled facility in United States and produce and
Yes.
assemble just product
Exactly.
assemble.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's it. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So pricing. Now, how does the pricing work in international trade? So you have the cost of goods, whether it's manufactured goods or goods that you purchased. You add on top, obviously, the cost of packaging, labeling, and marketing. You add up your profit margin. You add up any export duties and taxes. This is a rare case, but sometimes it happens that there are export taxes and duties. You add the cost of inspection, delivery to the port, shipment. Well, port can be actually the airport. So you add the cost of cargo insurance. It's not mandatory, but I strongly recommend to do that to insure the shipment. You add the cost of all the import duties that and taxes that would be in a destination country, and you add the delivery to the buyer's door. Now, if you are an exporter or importer, doesn't matter. It doesn't mean that your pricing will include everything. Your pricing will only include those items that are covered by your term of Incoterms. So if you're only selling at X works, you will only have two items, actually three items. Cost of goods, cost of packaging, and your profit margin. You're free then.
Yeah. It will be unpaid, but again, that ocean freight or air freight, I have to pay. It's not free of cost. I'll add up that.
Yes. You have to add that, and you quote to your buyers, considering those three costs. If you are an importer and you are buying at X marks, then you're expected to pay everything except the first three. So look at the term, depending on the term, and this is why these terms are for. They differentiate who pays for what. So for the end consumer, the price adds everything. That's what the ultimate consumer, ultimate buyer will pay. But as an exporter and importer, you pay portion. Each party pays the portion.
Will you talk a little bit later? Is your plan to talk about CSA approval?
Not in details, but we spoke about certification.
Then these approvals also cost sometimes.
Yes.
Then
yes.
this cost also be applied.
That's right.
And moreover, bad debts and the damages is also part of the costing.
Which one?
Bad debts and the damages.
Oh, damage. Yes.
That's also part of.
Yeah.
To me, those things are cost of goods. So yeah, obviously you have all the marketing and all the other stuff that you put into the cost of goods, including the loss of the product. But you know that like 3% of the product is broken, so you add that.
So the first three, packaging, profit margin, duties and tax, applies to
To the exporter.
Export.
Yeah.
I'm thinking-
If the exporter sells on X works condition, EX down, first row.
What else the sales tax there, cost of goods, and your sales tax? Is it included? Or does it mean?
Actually, no, sales taxes, see, it's deducted. So if you're selling internationally, your quote should not include any sales taxes. No sales taxes, yes. So, an example of Canada, let's say you have $100 and 13% HST. If you export, you only quote 100%. Oh, sorry, 100 to $100. And in the end of your financial year, you pay the refund, and the government pays you back that portion of HST.
I was wondering if you have a few minutes to share your story of your first shipping. So you had an idea, what did you do first, second, just briefly in 5 minutes, please want to give me an idea of how did you start and what did you face challenges when you can.
So my experience was pretty unusual for North America. So I was born in the Soviet Union. That was the huge country that consisted of 15 different countries. In 1991, they separated. And what happened is that all these countries started to have different currencies from nowhere. They started to build borders, although there were no borders before. And the borders those times looked like the wooden boxes where the customs people were sitting. The customs people were no experience at all. There were no service like that for within the country. They were experienced in dealing with foreign trade, but not within the country. And it was very interesting. But that's not the point. So the point is that in this situation, somehow we have to figure out the way to export pharmaceuticals from Russia to neighboring countries. And you're asking what the steps, right?
Generally. So
Generally.
you had an idea, when you woke up, you say, now what
Yes.
do I need to shake this medicine?
Right, right.
Did
So
you
for-
call somebody? Did you do research? What did you do?
No, first of all, the way it happened is we actually had an inquiry from the buyer in one of the neighboring countries.
Okay.
So we knew that, okay, yes, we have a buyer. We invoiced a portion with the prepayment, advance payment. So we got some money from them, and then we called the freight forwarding company. They brought us a truck. So we ordered the truck. The truck went there. They took care of all the customs paperwork. I mean, we prepared the initial stuff, but they actually took care of all the rest. And so they took care of all the shipment from our home down to the destination.
No, that was lucky.
But it's actually actually how it works. I mean, of course, we had multiple problems in those customs with customs people. Like, okay, this document is not correct, or this document is outdated. We just changed the rule, and so on and so on. So it was fun, but this is how it works. I mean, you don't really have to do everything yourself.
Yeah.
And here in North America, it's pretty developed. I mean, I don't expect you run into this situation where, say, you prepared something and the country of destination suddenly changed the rule. And especially if you're importing to Canada, oh my God, this is a very stable country in terms of the duties and all the customs stuff. And it's pretty good infrastructure for logistics. Does that answer your question?
Yes, so now you live in Canada or you go back and forth?
No, I'm living in Canada.
Okay.
All right. So, what time do we have? Okay, 10 minutes. Good. So, the other portion of the presentation is development, sales, and marketing plan. Now, I don't think I will provide more details on that because as my understanding, you already have that, right? Is that correct? So,
We have, but it's not specific to
right,
import
yeah. Right, so I was going to just give you some ideas on what is specific to international trading. So in international trading, you have to make sure that your materials, whether it's website or the brochure, they are translated to the languages of your buyers. That's important. The other important marketing tool of international trade are the trade shows. Normally, trade shows are, I mean, they of course are used in domestic trade, but the first and foremost purpose of the trade shows is to connect international buyers and sellers. So you can either go to the trade show to look for some products, or you can exhibit at some of the trade shows if it makes sense for you. If you know that this trade show will be visited by your potential buyers, you can go there and exhibit there. Trade missions are actually the trips, the field trips, to the potential buyers and sellers. Trade missions are normally organized by the government. In Canada, it's Department of Foreign Affairs and International Trade. Provincial governments, they also organize trade missions, and usually they are very specific. For example, there's agricultural trade mission where you visit farms in some specific countries. Like there is the aerospace mission, IT mission, and so on.
Actually,
Yeah.
do you aware about any supporting by government of Canada to carry out some trade shows in other countries, maybe supporting some people who needs some booths or some facilities?
See,
Is
there is,
anything-
yeah, there is a grant for this, but unfortunately, it only applies to manufacturers. You have to actually manufacture. You have to produce certain products or service yourself. It's also applicable to service, but this is something that you have. It doesn't apply to traders, unfortunately. That's the great unfortunate.
If I produce something in Canada and I want to sell it, let's say in US,
Yes.
then I can have some sponsors.
Yes, you can have some sponsorship.
But if I want to, for example, to provide engineering service, engineering as a component, system integration,
Yes.
then use Canadian or US products, whatever, but I will just need a booth in, for
That's
example, in Dubai
Yep.
to show I'm giving engineering and sales services.
Yeah, this should qualify for that. But it's not only the only one criteria. They have actually a bunch of other criteria there. There should be a certain number of employees, there should be a certain number of sales, and so on and so on. So I mean, it's very challenging. So I would not really rely on that.
Okay.
That's my personal advice. I wouldn't really rely on that. At least until the point.
Because I heard something, but I'm not sure.
There,
about
no,
EDC.
it exists. It exists. EDC. We'll talk about it later. It's financial.
Then-
It's financial institution. It's not.
Okay.
I mean, they give loans and they give insurance. Yeah, they don't give free money.
Sorry for this.
Right?
Your agent, your importing, it's a wholesale. For the big markets and so, you will contact to the buyer for that. For example, Novartis or Walmart.
Yes.
You will contact the buyer, that company.
Yes. Yes.
I guess it's a challenge to approach them, or is it?
It is something that honestly I can't help in, because it's the marketing and sales skills that are essential to them. You're gonna have to handle that yourself, because only you can do that. As the self-entrepreneur, as the salesperson, if you have enough sales and marketing skills, you can open the door. Right? I know the cases that one lady brought some tropical fruits from Colombia. She basically had to open these doors on her own. She didn't have any support. Right now, she's selling to locals. It's possible. It's possible. It takes time. It takes effort. It takes sales and marketing skills. Not the international trade skills, but being able to sell something.
see everybody as a country of where they belong to. Like me.
Right.
What do you think about going to this Chamber of Commerce in Toronto and sit down and talk to a
Absolutely.
specific country?
Absolutely. Yeah.
But you know, I don't trust them. I don't know why, but there is something that I don't think they are there to help me, but they are there to do something else. What's your experience with Russian Chamber of Commerce?
You know, actually, my experience not only with Russian but with others. I mean, Chinese Chamber of Canadian China Business, Canadian China Chamber of Commerce. They are very helpful.
But do they want money for sitting down and talking?
No, most of them don't. Yeah.
Okay.
Because their mandate is to improve trade between nations, right? So in my case, they were actually able to provide me some leads for free. So I mean, it's really something, the sort that you have to explore. If
So they are there for us.
Exactly. And
Anytime, how much time I sit down, they have to be there for me because
Absolutely.
they are paying.
Yeah.
Good.
But don't think that they will chase after you. Let's say if you call them and send a voicemail, they will not call back.
No, go there. Okay,
Yes,
thanks.
yes. Call back, be persistent. That's my recommendation. All right. A couple of recommendations on the business to consumer market. If you are selling directly to buyers overseas, most likely you will do that either by mail or by your website. What you have to be able to do, you have to be able to accept local currencies. Like you're selling to the US, you have to be able to accept US dollars. If you're selling elsewhere, then so you have to come up with a solution, technical solution, how to accept their payment. Other than that, it's pretty much same as domestic, but keep in mind the language, keep in mind the cultural differences, colors, this type of things. If you're working with direct consumers, you should understand what colors they like, what shapes they like, and so on. Now, sales planning for international trade is no different than domestic planning. You have to have a target in your mind, how much product you want to sell. And then you break it down by a period, by month, by week, or day. And you do similar way. You get an idea how many customers you should have, what's your conversion rate, how many leads become your customers, and you apply basically the same approach. You understand this way how many leads you have to have every day, how many leads you have to convert as your customers. Again, this is the same as there's no difference than domestic. And of course, you should have a budget for every marketing activity because I mean there will be some funding required for developing business. So keep that in mind. It's always better to plan it in advance. Okay, now so is that the one?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, let's take a break and then we'll start doing.
Sure. 10 minutes break?
Yeah, 10 minutes.